And I think that having a dream is very necessary. To me, that's the same as having a goal that's really, really huge. And some people might think it's unthinkable. But to have a dream and to set goals and to have very high standards is extremely important. I think, and I've taught Kanye this from the time he came into the world, there's nothing that you can't achieve if you prepare yourself for it and believe that you can do it. So dreams are really, really important, but equally important is the fact that you can't just dream. You have to prepare yourself to achieve that dream.
What? Where? Oh, yeah, right here.
How was Kanye coming up?
You know what? Kanye was always self-absorbed in a way. You know what? I was thinking about something I was going to say to you, Kanye, that I thought was important. How you were down to earth and everything, but you know you got a lot of confidence. Come off a little arrogant, even though you're humble and everything. But it'd be important to remember that the giant looks in the mirror and sees nothing. You know what I mean?
So
Kanye, thank you for being just an outstanding son.
Wow.
You really are pretty cool. The best, as a matter of fact.
Oh, word.
Yep.
You the best mom.
So proud of you, and let me tell you what I'm about to do, mama. I know I act a fool, but I promise you I'm going back to school.
Donda Williams, also known as Donda West, was born on July 12, 1949, in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, to her mother, Lucille Williams, and her father, Portwood Williams Sr. Donda was the youngest of 4 children, and growing up, they didn't have a lot of money or material items. But what they did have in their home was a lot of love and a lot of wisdom from their parents. Donda watched her mom work as a maid for years until she could no longer take the verbal abuse or discrimination any longer. Her father would work in the fields, picking cotton from sun up to sundown until his hands were full of scars and cuts, doing what he had to do to provide for his family. Donda was incredibly close to her father. At the young age of 9 years old, she accompanied him to one of the very first sit-ins of the Civil Rights Movement on August 19, 1958, at the Catch Drug Store. Both of her parents only had 8th grade educations due to the circumstances of the times. But one thing that they always taught her was to strive for greatness, no matter what. And that mindset is what took her father from picking cotton in the fields to being one of the most successful black businessmen in Oklahoma City. Donda would live by her parents' advice of settling for nothing less than greatness, making education and higher learning a top priority in her life. After graduating from Frederick Douglass High School, she would attend Virginia Union University, where she obtained her bachelor's degree in English, and later moving to Georgia, where she would attend Clark Atlanta, receiving her master's degree. Donda loved Atlanta and would make it her home. She landed a job at Spelman College as an assistant to the head of public relations, and Donda would become great friends with her supervisor, Judy. And one day they were in the office having a conversation, and Judy mentioned to her that she knew of a man who she felt would be perfect for Donda, and his name was Ray West, a freelance photographer who would sometimes work at the school doing pamphlets and flyers for the university. Judy set up a phone call to make the introduction between the two, but after they spoke on the phone, there was an issue because Donda was sure that she had just spoke to a white man on the phone and not a black man who was just trying to change his inflections. But Judy just laughed and reassured her that Ray West was indeed black. One day he showed up to the office to meet Donda in person, and they immediately took a liking to one another. They began to spend time around the Spelman campus, and the more she learned about him, the more she came to understand why he carried himself the way that he did. He didn't have what people would consider the Black American experience growing up. He was born in Tucson, Arizona, to a military family. They lived all over the world. Ray didn't have a black teacher until he attended the predominantly white University of Delaware. He became more aware of the social injustices that were happening to black people in America every day, and later becoming the president of the Black Student Council at the university. He would also later join Huey Newton and Bobby Seale's movement, becoming a Black Panther, Donda really liked the fact that Ray was very intelligent and eccentric, but he also had a militant side as well. Ray was very different from the guys she usually dated throughout her life, but it was something about him that made her gravitate towards him. After getting to know each other on the Spelman campus, they went on their first official date at the Greenbrier Mall. Donda said during their date, they walked past a wishing well and she took 3 pennies and threw them inside and made a wish that Ray West would become her husband. And her dreams would come true because on January 1st, 1973, Ray West and Donda would marry amongst family and friends in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. After the wedding, they returned to Atlanta and moved into their new townhome. It was a beautiful time in their lives, and one thing that brought them even more close together is that they both agreed that they never wanted to have children. Donda stated that both of her sisters had children at a young age, and she felt like it altered the course of their lives, and she didn't want that to happen to her. She dreamed about traveling the world with her husband, growing their businesses, and living an affluent lifestyle without the worries or the responsibilities of having to raise a child. Ray felt the same way, and they made a pact with one another to never have kids. But as the years passed, Donda began to have a change of heart and an unshakable feeling that it was time for her to have a child. She felt terrible for feeling this way. She knew her and Ray had always agreed to never have kids, but Donda stated that it almost felt as if God was telling her that you need to have this child. She went to her husband Ray and told him how she was feeling. He wasn't pleased with the news or the thought of having a kid and reminded her about the agreement that they made to never have them. But after numerous long and difficult conversations, Ray agreed, but he admitted to his wife that he was scared to be a dad. He wasn't sure if he was capable of being an excellent father. Donda admitted her reservations about becoming a mother as well. But one thing she said she knew about the both of them is that they strive for excellence and greatness in life, and she knew that they would instill that into their child. Soon Donda would become pregnant, and Ray would be the most attentive and loving father to be in the world. He always wanted to make sure that she was comfortable and taken care of. He prepared every meal for her with a vegan diet and juicing to make sure that she got the proper nutrition. He attended every prenatal class and was present at every doctor's appointment. He would let Donda and her mother Lucille choose the name for the child, but Donda wanted her child's name to have meaning. She knew she was gonna have a boy from the moment she became pregnant without ever even getting an ultrasound. And after looking through a book of African names with her mother, she chose Kanye, meaning the only one in Swahili. And on June 8, 1977, Kanye Amari West was brought into the world, and his father Ray West couldn't have been any more proud. For a man who once said that he didn't want kids and never planned on having any, he couldn't help but to show off his newborn son to all the nurses in the hospital.
Our prayers were answered. Our baby was healthy and brilliant. Ray was there, camera in hand. He tried to capture every one of our baby's first moments. He took pictures of everyone who held him in the hospital, the nurses, the doctors. It was funny. We had all of that time of not wanting kids or being afraid to have one. And when our son finally came into the world, there was not a more proud father alive.
And once they were back at home from the hospital, Ray would continue to be a loving and caring father, looking after Donda and Kanye. He started his own photography company called Redonda, which was a mixture of his name, Ray, and his wife's name of Donda. He was an award-winning photographer, and he felt like if he could get the company off the ground, he could support his family with the income. But as time went on, Donda started to feel like Ray was spending more time in the photography studio than he was with his wife and his newborn child. Donda felt alone and neglected. They began to argue constantly, and one day she confronted Ray by asking him, "What's more important, the photography studio or your family?" Ray would respond in anger by saying, "You're right. The studio is the most important thing to me. It's more important than you, and it's more important than Kanye." He regretted those words as soon as they left his mouth, but for Donda, those words hit just as hard as a physical strike. And in that moment, she knew that it was time for her and Ray to go their separate ways. Throughout the years, they had broken up on multiple occasions, and breakups to makeups became a theme in their relationship, especially when Donda moved from Atlanta to Alabama to attend the University of Auburn in pursuit of her doctoral degree. They were long distance, and it put a strain on their relationship, although they always found their way back to one another. But this time was different. Donda knew that it was really over for good, and on August 28, 1980, Ray and Donda's divorce was finalized. She would take full custody of Kanye, but made an agreement with Ray that he would get his son every summer so they could spend time together. Donda felt like she needed to leave Atlanta and start over, and she would choose Chicago after a friend of hers told her about all the opportunities that would be there for a person with her credentials. She had the opportunity to become a professor at multiple universities, but she would ultimately choose Chicago State because it was a predominantly black school, and she felt like that's where her expertise was most needed. Kanye was only 3 years old when they moved to Chicago, and for the next several years, it was just him and his mom, Donda.
When the marriage was working, it was working very well. When it wasn't, it was time to go. There was no bitterness or nastiness. It just was time to go. I guess we had broken up and reconciled so much that when we did it for the last time, we both knew it was for good. I told my friends and family my plan to move to Chicago, and no one discouraged me. I even drove a truck with furniture and everything to Chicago by myself. I applied to Chicago State and Roosevelt University. I landed both positions. I accepted the one at Chicago State because I wanted to teach in a predominantly black school. I was all set.
She didn't have the money to give Kanye all of the material things that he may have wanted, but she would soon get the opportunity to give him something even better, the chance to see the world. She would be accepted into the Fulbright Scholar Program to teach abroad for 1 year at Nanjing University in China. She knew that it would be a good experience for her and for Kanye. He was only 10 years old around this time, and Donda was extremely excited about their upcoming journey. Together, they would take a 20-hour flight from Chicago to Nanjing, China. And when they arrived, they fell in love with the culture. Kanye would be put into the first grade, even though he was 10 years old, due to the language barrier. But everyone at the school loved Kanye. He was very charming and charismatic. He was a star, even in a completely different country. And when Donda wasn't teaching at the university and Kanye wasn't at school, they were together, exploring Chinese customs and traditions, or just riding through the city, traveling for miles on their bicycles. According to Donda, they learned how to weave in and out of traffic just as good as the locals. It was a beautiful time in their lives. And during the school break, Donda got the opportunity to take Kanye to see the sights of Hong Kong, and then to the country of Thailand to see the beaches of Bangkok. She was extremely happy that she got the opportunity to show her son new things. She knew that it would benefit him later in life, but most of all, she enjoyed spending quality time with her son. And after their journey through the continent of Asia, Donda and Kanye would return to Chicago and the South Shore home that Donda purchased around the time she first moved to the city. She wanted to have a safe place to raise Kanye, but she began to feel like the neighborhood wasn't as safe as it was when she first moved there. Kanye was pressed by older kids on a few occasions who were trying to take things from him. She wanted to do everything she could to protect Kanye. She knew how dangerous the city could be. Kanye would sometimes use public transportation, but his mom forbid him from using the L train. She knew that it had a reputation for violence. Donda heard the stories about young kids and teenagers being robbed of their starter jackets and their Air Jordans, sometimes being beat up for them or losing their lives. But luckily for her, she didn't have to worry about Kanye running the streets. He spent the majority of his time in his room, creating beats. Growing up, Kanye loved drawing and animation and had dreams of becoming a video game designer. But his love for music began to take over. He was obsessed with creating new sounds. And Donda would find them a new place to live that she felt was safer for her son in Blue Island, Illinois. But it wouldn't just be her and Kanye moving into the new home. Before Donda left to go to China, she had a going away party and she met a man by the name of Willie Scott, an auto mechanic teacher at Simeon Vocational High School. He waited for her the entire year that she was gone. Donda really made an impression on him at the party. And when she returned from being overseas, they began to date, and for the next 2 years, they were in a serious relationship, but eventually they decided to take things to the next level by moving in together. Donda called him Scotty, and she was deeply in love with him. She seen him interact with his students at Simeon and saw how much admiration they gave him and how well liked he was at the school. She felt like he would be a good role model for Kanye. Even though his dad was still in his life, she wanted somebody there on a daily basis. But there was only one issue. Kanye and Scotty didn't get along. This was the beginning of Kanye being fully consumed by music. He didn't have time for chores or anything else that his stepfather had to say, leaving her to play the role of mediator between the two, trying to keep the peace. Sometimes she would do Kanye's chores for him, just to avoid any friction in the house. She would express to Scotty that she felt like sometimes he was too hard on Kanye, and Scotty would tell her that you're gonna mess the boy up by babying him and not teaching him responsibility so he could become a man. How Kanye was gonna be disciplined became a constant issue in their relationship. They also went to therapy and counseling, trying to figure out ways for Kanye and Scotty to communicate better. They had issues in their relationship, but overall, Donda and Scotty loved each other dearly. So much that after 4 years in Blue Island, they decided that it was time to get a bigger house and to get married. According to Donda, Scotty was old school and leaned heavy on punishment. If he told Kanye chores needed to be done and they weren't, it would often cause them to clash. But one day Donda came home from work and found Kanye crying at the dinner table. She already knew that it had something to do with Scotty. Him and Kanye were constantly going at it. Kanye told his mom that if you love him, stay with him. I'll be out of the house one day. But she told her son that his happiness matters as well. That's when Kanye said maybe I could go live with my dad. And Donda knew that that's something that he didn't want to do permanently. He loved to spend the summers with his father, but he didn't want to do that full time. Donda felt like she was forced to make a decision between the man that she loved and her only son. Ultimately, Donda and Scotty would decide to go their separate ways, and her and Kanye would relocate to the Tinley Park area of Chicago.
Scotty never let Kanye get away with anything. Sometimes it angered me. Kanye had to wash the dishes, mop the kitchen floor, make his bed, clean his room, clean the bathtub, take out the trash, and cut the lawn. And he had better do a good job of all of it. I'd tell Scotty I wasn't raising Kanye to do manual labor. I thought Scotty was being a little too strict. But he was used to dealing with boys in his auto mechanics class, and he'd had 3 sons of his own, all grown by then. I wanted Kanye to have the strong male input on a day-to-day basis. Scotty felt that I was too lenient. Scotty would say the few times I came to Kanye's defense about a chore left undone, "You're going to fuck him up." The breaking point for us came the day there was a piece of paper on the lawn. It was Kanye's job to keep the lawn free of debris, and somehow a piece of paper ended up on the lawn. Scotty lost it. I believe he overreacted. Kanye and Scotty had their share of run-ins by this time, and I felt Kanye was growing unhappy being around him. I had caught Kanye sitting at the dining room table almost in tears. He and Scotty weren't getting along that day. I asked him what was wrong. "If you love him, Mom, stay with him," Kanye said. "I'll be out of the house one day." There was no way in hell I was going to send Kanye off to stay with his dad just so that Scotty and I could be together. What Kanye says in the song is true. I never put no man over him, and I wasn't about to start then.
Kanye would attend Polaris High School, and throughout his teenage years, he would continue to have tunnel vision with his dreams of becoming the biggest rapper in the world. Donda told a story of Kanye wanting to get braces when he was 13. His teeth were fine, but he said that he wanted to get them so they could be absolutely perfect for the day that he became world famous. She helped her son buy a $1,500 keyboard after he was able to save up $500. She put down the other $1,000. And this keyboard would play an important role in Kanye's development as a producer. Donda said that it seemed like 24 hours a day, there was bass rolling through her home, shaking the foundation, coming from Kanye's room. He became fully consumed by the music. When his grandparents would come to visit from out of town, if they wanted to talk to Kanye, they had to go to his room because he basically never came out.
Word to God, they don't want it, but they wanna play the role. Acting hardcore, watch the whole career flow. My style is too cold, always forever like Luther, but it ain't original because I stole it from the future now.
Yeah. Say what?
If I'ma rise to the top, cause it ain't in me to fail. Or die busting at the cops, but he send me to jail. Can't nigga discern, we won't even send you to bail. In the cell with some niggas trying to send me to hell. So
I'm different, I'm fresh, and I am the best. Nothing less can come from West. Get out there, Kanye.
But although it was plain to see that music had Kanye's heart, she made sure that he never lost focus of the importance of education. Having exceptional grades was the standard for Kanye. Academics and education is something that Donda preached to Kanye ever since he was 3 years old. She always had dreams of watching from the crowd as her son walked across the stage and got his college degree. She was always confident that he would at least get one. It was in his blood, and she knew for certain that a college degree was in his future. But after graduating from high school, it was starting to look like Kanye wouldn't even get the opportunity to attend college, and his musical dreams would come true right away. He got invited to fly to New York City to meet with Sony Music executives. They heard his music, and they were interested in signing him. Donda was happy for her son because she knew how much it meant to him, but at the same time, she was concerned that it may take away from his ambitions of higher learning. Once he arrived in New York, he called his mom, telling her about how they picked him up from the airport in a limo. A driver was waiting and had a sign with his name on it. He felt like he officially made it, and he knew that Sony wasn't gonna pass up on him. But during the meeting with Sony executives, they asked Kanye a simple question: what makes you different from all the other rappers? And Kanye wasn't really quite sure how to answer. The only thing he could say was that he knew he was great, and that one day he would be bigger than Jermaine Dupri, not knowing that one of the Sony executives that he was talking to, Michael Malden, is the father of Jermaine Dupri, who was also a very prominent artist at the label during this time. Sony would ultimately pass on Kanye, sending him back to Chicago with no deal. Donda said that Kanye was disappointed that he didn't get signed, but he didn't let it shake his confidence at all. And he went right back to his room in his mom's house and kept making beats. And he had good reason to be motivated. He was being managed by legendary Chicago producer No ID, who was taking him to different labels, trying to get him a deal. But during the meetings with record company executives, Kanye would often say outlandish things, which would turn them off to signing him. He told the president of Columbia Records, Donnie Leonard, that he was going to be bigger than Michael Jackson. No ID quickly realized that he wouldn't be able to manage Kanye due to his personality, and decided instead of charging Kanye to be his manager, he would just help him sharpen his skills as a producer for free and mentor him. But Donda never let Kanye lose sight of his education. She let him know that he was going to have to learn how to balance his passion for music and pursuing his college degree. And she was very proud of Kanye. Due to him being a talented artist, he was able to get a partial scholarship to the American Academy of Art College in downtown Chicago.
I'd even put a little money aside so he could go away to college if he wanted to. Florida A&M, Morehouse, I would have made it work. At least he tried college for a couple of years. He had gone to the American Academy of Art in downtown Chicago on a partial scholarship the first semester after he finished high school. It was very competitive to get scholarships, and that he got even the partial scholarship for one semester made me very proud.
But after only attending the school for 2 semesters and getting good grades, Kanye had a talk with his mom, where he told her that animation isn't what he wanted to do with his future, and that drawing wasn't his passion any longer. But Donda felt like there was different avenues for Kanye to get that college degree that she always knew that he would achieve. And since she had worked her way up from professor to the head chairman of the English department at Chicago State University, what better school for her son to attend? And Donda was extremely excited about Kanye attending the school that she was already a part of. She felt like there was no way that one day her son wasn't going to walk across that college graduation stage. But not too long after Kanye started at Chicago State, Donda began to get pulled to the side by her colleagues, telling her that Kanye spent more time in the music room or in the student faculty than he did actually in class. After receiving that news, Donda already knew that Kanye was slowly slipping, but she wasn't going to give up on her son. She was determined that Kanye would become a college graduate. Donda decided to get different respected professors that she knew from around campus to have one-on-one conversations with Kanye, to get him to see the importance of a college degree and how much it would mean in his life. But they all came back to Donda with the same report, that Kanye was solely focused on music. That's the only thing that he wanted to do. Eventually, Donda and Kanye sat down and had a discussion. She made one last effort to get him to go back to school, but Kanye had to explain to his mom that it just wasn't for him and that his future was in music. Donda had to face the reality that her only son was now a college dropout. And since Kanye quit school, Donda demanded that he get a job to support himself financially. He would work numerous odd jobs, usually quitting within a week. But eventually he would find his stride in telemarketing. He had the gift of gab and was making good money for his age. And with the help of his father, Ray West, he was able to purchase his first vehicle. And Donda decided that the same energy she put into trying to convince Kanye to complete school is the same energy she would put into supporting his dream of becoming one of the biggest rappers and musicians of all time. But there would have to be changes made to her support. Kanye could no longer live with her. For years she listened to the music blast from Kanye's room as he created track after track. Sometimes she would even tell him, "That's $1 million beat that you got right there." But she could no longer take the noise or the constant traffic of Kanye's friends coming through her home to record music. One day Donda told Kanye that it was time for him to get his own place. His response was, "Ma, are you really kicking me out right now?"
The bass was still booming, and as I mentioned before, I had had enough, more than enough. That music and traffic were too much. They would all have to go. It's either you or your music, I told him. You'll need to move out or find a studio away from the house. You can stay, but all of this music and these people have to go. Mom, are you kicking me out?
But everything would work out fine. A Chicago rapper named Gravity signed a major record deal and decided to purchase $8,000 worth of beats from Kanye. This wasn't life-changing money, but according to Donda, it was enough to show her that Kanye had something. They found him a small apartment in the Beverly section of Chicago. But Kanye began to feel like he had outgrown the music scene in the city, and if he really wanted to make it big, he was going to have to go to a place with more opportunities to network. And that place was New York City. It was the early 2000s, and he was a huge Jay-Z fan, and he felt like this was the place that people were making it happen. And thanks to a connection that Donda had, they were able to set Kanye up with an apartment in New Jersey. She truly believed in Kanye and his musical talents. She knew that it was only a matter of time before he made it big, but it wouldn't be easy, and there would be a long road to success ahead. But luckily for Kanye, his mentor No ID introduced him to hip-hop management since 1978, owned by G. Robertson and Kayambo Joshua, who was also an A&R at Rockefeller Records. He was able to get some of Kanye's beats to Jay-Z. They liked what they heard, and Kanye's beats would play an instrumental role on Jay-Z's 2001 classic album, The Blueprint. Donda was extremely happy and proud of her son. Even though she was initially devastated when he dropped out of college, she was beginning to see the light, and maybe Kanye's vision was just bigger than hers. But now, she was a true believer. But for Kanye, it was only a dream half fulfilled. He was being labeled as a hot up-and-coming producer, but he wanted to be respected as a rapper. Everybody wanted a beat from Kanye, but when it came to his rapping, there wasn't too many people interested. He would try to spit verses for anybody who would listen in the Rockefeller offices, which was often met with blank stares and uninterested looks.
She's so precious with the peer pressure. Couldn't afford a cop, so she named her daughter Alexis.
I'm wondering like how can like even like Kevin Liles tell me that I can't be a rapper, but he don't realize what I have in me. I have the ability to learn.
I thought he could make good beats, just like a Just Blaze or, you know, other producers. And, you know, I didn't see him as a rapper.
A nigga trying to classify me as a producer? My beats was whack at one point, dog. I wasn't always having hot beats. I learned how to make hot beats. I'm focusing on rhyming now. I'm gonna be the fucking best. And I'm gonna be charting with these niggas. I'm gonna come out #1.
And whenever it did seem like he was making some progress as a rapper, it would quickly fall apart. He got close to Mos Def and Talib Kweli, who were with Rawkus Records, a label that showed interest in signing Kanye, but at the last minute they pulled out of the deal, once again leaving Kanye without a label. When Kanye felt down and discouraged about his inability to land a deal as a rapper, he would leave New York and fly home to Chicago to be with his mother Donda. She knew that Kanye was extremely confident, but there was times that even he needed encouragement. She would give him words of wisdom and remind him of his greatness.
Oh, you know the one I used to always try to get you to do, Kanye, and you never did it? What's that? I walked through the halls of the school, and it's cool to be known by many for my rapping ability, but what about the brothers who ain't got it like me, making money off the trade? They would win all the talent shows, but that's why you were so disappointed when you didn't win that year. You got second place doing the Stevie Wonder.
I got no place doing the Stevie
You
Wonder.
did?
Yeah.
You practiced no New Year's Day.
Yeah, and the thing was,
All right, that's good, Kanye. This is so exciting, isn't it? I love it.
yeah, can you believe it?
I can believe it the way you are. Somebody gotta do it. You play tracks like Michael Jordan shoots free throws. Anybody does something that much and that long and is that good, it's gotta pay off. Can't go there and do nothing but blow up.
Donda's words of encouragement played in Kanye's head, and when he got the opportunity as a rapper, he made sure that he wasn't gonna miss. One day at the studio, while Jay-Z was recording for his upcoming Blueprint 2 album, Kanye told Jay-Z that he had a verse for a song on the album called The Bounce. And when Jay-Z asked Kanye to hear the verse, he rapped as if his life depended on it, because in his mind, it did. And he made everybody in the room, including Jay-Z, a believer.
To be down, you must have been to the crew. We're rated R, OC, OG, Bobby Johnson, as we Ray, is that your car? Singing.
Hey Jay, what you gotta say about that nigga Ye West, man?
Ye West, hot, fire, put my money on it.
That was so magnificent that you did. I was like, Kanye! All right!
Donda didn't get to see her son walk across the college graduation stage, but in October of 2002, during a concert in Chicago, Damon Dash would announce that Kanye was now an official member of Rockefeller, finally making his dreams come true. Donda was so proud of her son. She watched him work for all of those years, and now it was finally paying off. But just 2 weeks after celebrating this monumental moment with her son, tragedy would strike. Because in the early morning hours of October 23, 2002, after leaving a recording session in Studio City, California, Kanye West would fall asleep at the wheel of his vehicle and have a head-on collision. The man in the other car broke both legs, but survived, and Kanye West was in very bad shape as well. And as he was trapped inside of his vehicle, upside down in the middle of the road, the only thing he could think to do was to call his mother, Donda. He tried to explain to her what happened through a broken jaw, but Donda could tell right away that her son was in serious trouble. She quickly rushed to the airport and booked the first flight from Chicago to LA so she could be by Kanye's side. And when she arrived at the hospital and frantically made her way to Kanye's room, she was in shock by what she saw. She didn't even recognize her own son. His face had swelled up 3 times its normal size. Donda just couldn't believe it. She had to take a picture to make sure that it was real. A picture that would become an important part of Kanye's life and legacy. But she was just happy that her son survived. Although he would face a long road to recovery and they would have to call in top plastic surgeons from around the country to get his face back to normal. This accident not only put Kanye's life in jeopardy, it put his career as a rapper in jeopardy as well. For years he wanted to be respected as a rapper. It seemed like as soon as he got some traction, everything fell apart. But it wasn't just the accident that had Kanye feeling like time was running out on his opportunity, because some people believed that Rockefeller signed Kanye as a solo artist just to keep him around as a producer. They knew how talented and valuable he was. Whenever he would try to talk to people at Rockefeller about putting out his debut album, he would usually get the runaround. A lot of executives felt like he just didn't have the image of a rapper that would sell records. This was a time when artists like 50 Cent ruled the industry, and gangster rap was king, the complete opposite of Kanye and Outkast. And during his moments of doubt, Donda would be in his ear, reminding him of his genius and how he was destined for greatness. Kanye knew that Rockefeller wasn't gonna put any effort into making his solo album, so he took matters into his own hands. He got together with some of his closest friends from Chicago to form a team to do promotion for his debut album, telling anybody that would listen that Kanye was up next, even if they had no idea who he was. And he had his right-hand man Cootie filming the whole thing, documenting his journey trying to make it to the top.
And then we got my man Kanye. This motherfucker tracks, man, hold on. This nigga from Chi-Town. He hanging out with the Harlem World. They doing their thing. What's up with you, baby?
Yo, what's up? Yo, I want to send a shout to 87th Street Outfit, my man John. You know what I'm saying? Yo, Chi-Town represents. Chi-Town made it down here, boy. Somebody from the crib made it down here.
What you know about Kanye West?
What I know about him?
Did you know I just signed Rockefeller?
You did?
As a rapper?
No, I ain't know that. Now I do now.
Yeah.
I like that you talk like that.
Hey, we doing Kanye West, right? I produced for Jay-Z and Dropout and all that. What up, dog?
I know you is.
Okay, for sure.
What's happening?
What up, man? What up, dog? What up, man?
At the Source Awards, we have Kanye West. How you doing?
Yeah, that's Kanye, Kanye.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kanye West.
You know, it's hard when you're trying to do something different in the game. A lot of times people don't accept it, but I'd rather have a slow grind where you build a really strong fan base than just to bust out and have a hit single and then people don't remember you tomorrow, so.
And Kanye's determination and perseverance would soon pay off. Although many people in the music industry felt like Kanye didn't have the image or the backstory to become a superstar rapper, he decided to talk about his real life, rapping about surviving a near-fatal car accident. With the self-financed music video and a Shaka Khan-inspired sample called Through the Wire that premiered on August 3rd, 2003.
What's the new video?
It's yours, it's Kanye West's video. Okay.
But I'm a champion, so I turn tragedy to triumph. Make music that's fire, slip my soul through the wire.
Every sunset feel brighter, every sunshine feel brighter. Please light your lighter for the producer and the writer. Do the doctor's exact estimation. He said, nigga, you almost bust the Final Destination. Man, you must have had a blessing from Pastor Mason. And man, I know I can drop a down payment on that Porsche Cayenne. But what? I went ahead with a plan, paid for my own video directed by my man.
Be proud of Kanye.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you raised him up like a baby and he wouldn't have a career without you.
I wouldn't say all that. You know, Kanye might, you know, Kanye's crazy.
What do you mean?
He might pick at your office for that comment. That guy's, bet you know exactly what he's feeling. I think the Blueprint was the beginning of, you know, his whole career.
Right.
Yeah, now he's going into, you know, he's rapping. I didn't know he was that good. You know, I knew he was solid. I didn't know he was good. He's really good. And I mean, a lot of stuff that he's doing on his own. Like that video he shot himself.
Right. Jay is Kweli's favorite rapper. 50 is Eminem's favorite rapper. And I'm my favorite rapper.
Through the Wire quickly became a hit, taking Kanye from a somewhat unknown producer and a rapper nobody wanted to listen to a rising star. And as a way to pay tribute to his mother Donda and his tough decision that he had to make disappointing her by leaving school, he would title his debut album College Dropout. Rockefeller Records finally seen the vision and started pushing the Kanye West name. And on February 10th, 2004, the College Dropout would debut, and there was no one in the world more proud of Kanye than his mother Donda. She said the day that the album came out, she went to the store and bought dozens of copies, not because she had to, she just wanted to make sure that her son's album went to #1, and that's exactly what would happen.
And when you see the Dropout band, you know hip-hop is back. This is me when Kanye and I went to China. Kanye used to speak Chinese too. What happened to you Chinese? Can you say anything? Ni hao, cai xian. Hello, goodbye.
I mean, these are not the exact colors I see in my head, but this is kind of like a 4-bar drum beat, and this is like a... See it? Can y'all see that, Kanye?
I had counted the days until February 10th, 2004, the day the CD was to come out. I wanted to buy my son's very first CD, just like everybody else. When I'd gotten to the checkout at Best Buy, the cashier said, "Wow, you bought 10. "Yeah, this is my son's," I told him. "No, it's not," he said. "If Kanye West was your son, you wouldn't have to buy it." I didn't have to buy it. I wanted to buy it. In fact, I came back a couple of days later and bought more. I wanted his first CD to hit the charts. I wanted the SoundScan numbers to go through the roof. I thought my meager purchase of just 10 would make a difference. No way would I not be a part of the count. I sat in the parking lot and listened to the whole CD, halfway holding back tears, halfway jamming. I had the music turned up real loud. I wanted to open my window and scream to everybody walking by, "Hey, this is my kid." I was more than proud. I was beside myself. My 5'3" 3.5" body stood 10 feet tall that day.
College Dropout would climb to the top of the Billboard charts and become a critically acclaimed classic. Kanye West had officially made it. His dreams were finally coming true. And with this newfound fame, Kanye would leave New York and relocate to Hollywood. Donda decided to join her son in California, resigning from her job at Chicago State after 24 years. She would relocate to Los Angeles so she could be close to Kanye and run the day-to-day operations of his growing business empire. Kanye trusted no one in the world the way that he trusted his mother. And Donda wanted to ensure that Kanye continued his ascent to the top, in not just music, but fashion as well. When he was only 10 years old, she started to notice that he had a flair for fashion and style, and it became just as important to him as music. He began to show off more of his alter ego, the Louis Vuitton Don, and with the August of 2005 release of his highly anticipated sophomore album, Late Registration, Kanye would solidify himself as a superstar on his way to icon status. And Donda was so proud of her son. She always knew that he had big dreams, but actually living those dreams out in reality was bigger than anything she ever could have imagined. Late Registration would debut at #1 on the Billboard Top 200, doubling the first week sales of his debut College Dropout and going platinum several times over. Donda would accompany Kanye to almost every red carpet, and whenever they left the award shows, their hands were full of trophies, from the south side of Chicago to the spotlight of performing live at the Grammys. And what made the success of Late Registration even more special for Donda is that it contained her favorite song, a track that Kanye had recorded years prior, but he didn't want to put it out until he was an established artist, a song called Hey Mama, to commemorate their relationship and how much they mean to one another.
Mom, why don't you come up and sit right here so I can perform it? Hey mama, I wanna scream so loud for you, 'cause I'm so proud of you, and let me tell you what I'm about to do.
I wanna tell the whole world about a friend of mine. This little light of mine, I'm finna let it shine. I'm finna take y'all back to them better times. I'm finna talk about my mama if y'all don't mind. I was 3 years old when you and I moved to the Chi.
And life would continue to get better and better for Donda she was about to become a mother-in-law. Kanye proposed to his longtime girlfriend, a fashion designer and stylist by the name of Alexis Pfeiffer. Donda had grown close to her over the years and often spoke highly of her. She was extremely excited for her son to marry such a beautiful and loving woman.
But I'm here with Miss West, and I want to get your reaction to her clothing line. What do you think of Alexis' clothing?
I love the clothes too. She's just outstanding. I thought every single piece was superb.
Alexis just debuted her clothing line.
Yes, it's just phenomenal. Amazing. It is phenomenal. And I just want to congratulate Alexis. She's beautiful inside and out. She's so talented. She's a great businesswoman. I am so lucky that she's going to be my daughter-in-law.
Tell me about that. Are we looking forward to the wedding? Do you have any dates or anything?
I don't, the date keeps changing. It's soon, then it's later, and as soon as later. They're just having a lot of fun together. So just as long as they give me at least a week's notice, I got to have a week to shop for the dress, right? So
you have your dress yet?
I don't have my dress yet. No.
All these designers at Fashion Week, I'm sure you'll be able to find something.
Something, but they haven't told me their colors.
Kanye would continue to pay homage to his mother with academia-themed albums, with his third studio release, Graduation, going for a stadium-type feel and trying to change music sonically. But more than anything, Graduation was a statement from Kanye that he was the best in the game and that he was never falling off, something that would be echoed on his classic song, Can't Tell Me Nothing. His dreams were now a reality.
Come true, and I wonder
if you truly are like, if you really are like a Neo of it, and you really have it, then it's not a matter of who I stand next to, because sometimes I used to get caught up in that, but you would think like, man, I shouldn't do this event because this is gonna be bad, or I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't stand next to this person because they're gonna look at me like that. And my perception, and I'm at that point where it's not about who I stand next to anymore. I could stand next to anybody, and at the end of the day, I still make the most important albums, period.
Was you saying something? You can't tell me nothing.
Despite his growing celebrity, Donda always made sure to instill in Kanye the importance of giving back, especially when it came to giving knowledge and words of encouragement to the future generations.
You don't know who I am. Okay, guess what? Time goes so fast, and I've been told that your buses are out there. But we wanted to get in just a few questions. Any questions for Kanye?
My mom always taught me you have to believe it first. You have to believe it first. So what's when I had to believe that I could make it into the game first. That was one of the first things. And I believed it and I willed it. I think overconfident, maybe that needs to be a bad word. How can you be overconfident? You should be overconfident. I'm going to tell you how I feel about me. I am the greatest. And you should feel that way about yourself too.
The more world-famous Kanye became, the more he liked to keep his mother right by his side. She kept him grounded in the crazy world of the entertainment business. And that same world would begin to have an effect on Donda. She started to feel as if her look didn't match the Hollywood image. She knew that she would be by Kanye's side at numerous star-studded events, and she wanted to look the part. Donda made the decision to get elective cosmetic surgery in order to obtain the body type that she desired, and in late 2007, she began to look for qualified doctors. She went to multiple surgeons in search of the best options, trying to get a tummy tuck, but was turned away because she had pre-existing conditions that would make her high risk for complications. But ultimately, she was able to find a doctor who agreed to perform the surgery, a man by the name of Dr. Jan Adams, a well-known celebrity plastic surgeon seen on multiple TV shows for his expertise. Donda felt like she made the right decision with the famous doctor, and even though other surgeons refused to perform even one surgery on her due to her health conditions, Dr. Jan Adams agreed to perform 3 surgeries on her in one day: a tummy tuck, liposuction, and a breast reduction. According to Dr. Jan Adams, everything went as planned and there were no complications during surgery, although he did tell Donda that it would be in her best interest to stay at a medical facility to receive proper aftercare treatment. But Donda stated that she already had family members at her home ready to help with her post-surgery care. One of those people being her nephew, Stefan Scoggins, a registered nurse with a degree in public health. When Donda arrived home from surgery, Stefan was waiting for her. He took care of her through the night, making sure that she had the proper care. The next morning they had breakfast together and Donda seemed fine, other than some pain she was experiencing from the surgery. She actually told her nephew if she knew it was gonna hurt as bad as it did, she would have never had the procedures done. Her nephew Stefan told her that he would come back and check on her later that night to make sure that she was healing properly. But as the day went on, Donda began to complain about having pain in her chest and trouble breathing. The people in the home taking care of her didn't have any medical training, and on the night of November 10th, 2007, a very frantic and desperate 911 call was made in the attempt to save the life of Donda West.
Okay. Did you need? Let me go ahead and give you ma'am. Do you need instruction on CPR?
Hey, we need a heavy board. Give me a heavy board.
Ma'am, we've already got people on the way to you. Okay.
Huh? What?
Ma'am, are you on speakerphone? If you can put me on regular phone, that'd be better.
We're on regular phone.
Okay, ma'am. Is she? Okay. So, are you doing CPR at this time?
No, we getting ready to start.
Okay. Do you need instructions? I can tell you what to do.
Take this off. Lift her head.
Okay. We want to lay her flat on the ground. No pillows. Nothing underneath of her head.
I can't move her from the bed. She just has to.
Is she in a hospital bed? Fire department, paramedics, what's the address emergency, please?
She just had surgery. She just had breast.
Give me the address first, ma'am. Ma'am? Tell me what happened. Ma'am, what is the problem? Tell me exactly what happened.
I can hear you.
Now, what happened? Why are you calling?
Because she's having a heart attack, she's dying, she's not breathing, and she's not moving. I'm trying to do CPR.
Ma'am, how old is this person?
She's 58 years old.
58?
She's had surgery.
Okay, 58. Now, you're doing CPR?
We're getting ready to start.
Ma'am, is she not breathing at all?
We gave her medication. She complained she couldn't breathe.
Ma'am, okay, so she's not... Ma'am, she's not breathing?
She can't breathe.
Okay, is she breathing?
No, she's not.
After the news broke about the death of his mother, the public spotlight was on Kanye. Everyone knew how close they were and knew that he was absolutely devastated by her loss. Immediately following the death of his mother, Kanye was scheduled to start the worldwide Glow in the Dark tour. People close to Kanye advised him to cancel the tour so he could take time off and grieve the loss of his mother. But for Kanye, there was no escaping the pain. His entire life, Donda was right by his side, his best friend, and his mother. But now, she was gone forever.
Superstar Kanye West is mourning the death of his mother today.
And these shows, every song I do has a different meaning to me now. Whether it's I heard him say nothing's ever promised, you can't tell me nothing. Jesus walks, touch the sky, or that don't kill me can only make me stronger. Cause can't tell me nothing means, you know, people call me, they say, well, you need to do this, you need to do that. And about 50 people, 100 people I ain't ever talked to in like the past 3 years call me out the blue, I be talking about, I just want to tell you that I'm giving you support and stuff, and I appreciate the support and all that, but don't suggest what I'm supposed to do, you know. What you need to do, you just need to stop touring, you just need to go home and clear your head. Go home to what, motherfucker?
Following the death of his mother, Kanye would call off the engagement between him and longtime girlfriend Alexis Pfeiffer. It's said that his mother's death had a major impact on their relationship, and they ultimately decided to go their separate ways. But the media still had questions about exactly what caused the death of Dr. Donda West. Some people began to point the finger at Dr. Jan Adams, the man who performed her surgery, citing negligence as the cause, due to him performing 3 surgeries in one day when other doctors refused to do any surgery on her at all. But Dr. Jan Adams would state that he did nothing wrong, making it public that improper post-surgery care is what really caused the tragedy. He also mentioned that Kanye West and Stefan Scoggins know the truth about what really happened to Donda, and that they should tell the truth and clear his name.
Kanye West's mother, Donda, dead 1 day after having liposuction, a tummy tuck, and breast reduction done.
He's planned to tell his side of the story on Larry King Live. He shocked the audience when he abruptly walked off the set. Adam says minutes before the interview started, Kanye's lawyers told him not to talk.
Her caregivers gave her, 20 Vicodin tabs in less than 20 hours.
Comes this headline-grabbing, finger-pointing from Dr. Jan Adams himself on the Daily News Online.
She didn't have to die, and it shouldn't have to be that way. But people don't do what they need to do. And much like children, they look to blame someone else when in fact they know. And I don't care what anybody says, Stephen Scoggins and Kanye West, in their quietest, deepest hours of contemplation, have to know they did the wrong thing.
Donda's nephew, Stephen Scoggins, also maintains his innocence, stating that he was never meant to be the primary care provider for Donda after surgery, and that he only offered extra help after his aunt reached out to him. Adding to the mystery surrounding her death, the autopsy report would come back as inconclusive, stating that there was no signs of surgical or anesthetic misadventure.
Finger at Kanye's cousin, claiming Scoggins, who is a registered nurse, was in charge of her post-op care, and he left her side to go to a family baby shower.
It's just a damn lie. This is the part that I feel as if she's speaking from the grave. If you could come by on Friday evening or even call, that would be great. That clearly never suggested that I was going to be providing her post-operative care.
With a heavy heart, still dealing with the death of his mother, Kanye would carry on with his career, releasing the groundbreaking 808s and Heartbreak in 2008, the innovative My Beautiful Twisted Dark Fantasy in 2010, and the classic Watch the Throne in 2011, featuring his friend and idol, Jay-Z. He will begin to show his influence in the fashion world as well, after a collaboration with Nike on the Air Yeezy brand, sending the industry into a craze. Despite his continued success after the death of his mother, Kanye began to show signs of change in his personality. He had numerous public outbursts that began to change the public perception of the musical genius even more. Some people felt like Kanye began to make very questionable decisions, such as marrying one of the most highly publicized and famous women in the world, Kim Kardashian. Their union would spark mass media intrigue. Everywhere they went, the paparazzi followed, and the camera lights were always flashing.
Support him. I'm just wifey for the day.
You doing wifey? Are you on wifey?
You wifey for the life now. What makes Kim perfect for me is she just is. She's what I like. That's my joy. That's what I like.
I met Kanye in 2002. He would ask everyone like who I was, and they always said like, oh, she, has a boyfriend. We just always kept on like connecting and coming into each other's lives. And then he invited me to Paris to his fashion show. It was just right. I mean, everyone would tell him, you can't be with her. She's a reality star. She's gonna sink your career. And he was just like, but I love her. Like, I don't care.
After all these long ass verses, I'm tired, you tired, Jesus wept.
Despite the media's scrutiny and negativity by some, the couple would remain inseparable, and in May of 2014, they would have a lavish wedding in Florence, Italy, being married amongst family and friends. After the birth of their first child, they would continue to expand their growing family, and life seemed to be great in the West Kardashian household. But as the years passed, there began to be news leaks that Kim was growing increasingly frustrated with Kanye's erratic behavior. Their marriage would also be marred by rumors of infidelity, and those rumors would be taken to extreme heights when rap superstar Drake allegedly made multiple songs referencing his relationship with the married Kim Kardashian West, sparking a bitter feud between the two rap legends that would last for years. In 2020, Kanye announced his intentions to run for president of the United States. At his very first presidential rally, he proceeded to have a breakdown, bearing his soul and telling some of his darkest secrets, all while crying uncontrollably. He also went to the White House, where he would meet with then President Donald Trump, where he would tell him how great of a man he was and how much he admired him, in what some would consider as a very bizarre public display.
Kanye, it's great to be with you. And these are two friends of mine, and Kanye's been a friend of mine for a long time.
Now, you gave me the heart to go to Adidas, because at Adidas, when I went in 2015, we were a $14 billion company, losing $2 billion a year. Now we have a $38 billion market cap. It's called the Yeezy effect. If he don't look good, we don't look good. This is our president. He has to be the freshest, the flyest planes, the best factories, and we have to make our core be empowered. You know, my dad and my mom separated, so I didn't have a lot of male energy in my home. And also, I'm married to a family that, you know, not a lot of male energy going on. It just didn't make me feel as a guy that didn't get to see my dad all the time, like a guy that could play catch with his son. There was something about when I put this hat on, it made me feel like Superman. You made a Superman. That's my favorite superhero.
Just speak at one of your rallies. He can speak for me anytime he wants. He's been a great guy. He's a smart cookie, smart. He gets it.
My mom saved my life. There would have been no Kanye West because my dad was too busy.
Eventually, the negative press and media scrutiny would become too much for them to bear, and in 2021, the two would separate in a very public and messy divorce that would result in Kim Kardashian going on Saturday Night Live and making jokes at her ex-husband's expense. Then immediately following the divorce, getting into a highly publicized relationship with a comedian named Pete Davidson, which would cause Kanye to take to social media, voicing his frustrations with his ex-wife. In the years following his mother's death, Kanye would make multiple statements that would raise suspicion about exactly what happened to his beloved mother. He would insinuate that it wasn't an accident, that it was something much more dark and sinister that was behind the death of his mom.
They can't, they try to suppress you, but that's how they try to categorize
They can't control me. You get what I'm saying? That I serve. My mom ain't here. My mama was sacrificed.
Me too.
You understand?
Yeah.
They can control Jay-Z and Beyonce.
But not you.
Send none of y'all Meek Mills, y'all Puffies, y'all Lil Boozies, none of these names, none of these people that have to listen to y'all because they have legal. I never killed nobody.
And if they take everything away from me, it wouldn't fucking matter. I sold my soul to the devil. I know it's a crappy deal. Lisa came with a few toys like a Happy Meal.
Some people believe that over the years Kanye has hurt his legacy with his numerous controversies and outlandish public statements, but he also still has an army of fans who believes that he's a musical genius who influenced a generation and became a fashion icon. But for the most part, one thing can be agreed upon is that the changes in Kanye West's personality became most glaring after the loss of his mother. Throughout the years, he's maintained a very close relationship with his father, Ray West, and they share a strong bond. But there's nothing that can take the place of his first love, his angel, Donda. Whenever Kanye performs on tour, he's sure to play songs that his mother loved, including Hey Mama. But usually during a performance, he's overcome with emotion and unable to finish.
I would like to congratulate you on the good job that you did with me.
Credit.
Yeah, you get mom a little bit of credit, but mostly, you see, I raised myself.
Oh, well, Kanye. One of the first questions I asked Koresh was, what do you want me to talk about? Well, he said something that was a little bit dangerous. He told me I could talk about anything I wanted to. And you know, I am my son's mother. He narrowed the topic down a bit and suggested that I might read excerpts from my book, Raising Kanye: Life Lessons from the Mother of a Hip-Hop Superstar. But the man I ended up writing about is the man who in some ways has had the most profound impact on my life, my son. And what made the project extra special to me is I got a chance to share not only what he has meant to me, but what he has meant to music and to a generation.
I appreciate everything, and I know you're really proud of me right now, and I know you wouldn't want me to stop, and you want me to be the #1 artist in the world. And Mama, all I'm gonna do is keep making you proud. We run this.
She was a great woman with a beautiful spirit who took pride in giving knowledge and confidence to the future generations. She was taken too soon. In Donda West, she was only 58 years old when she died. Rest in peace, Queen.